So we could probably all use a little more discipline. I know that I sure can. With that, I decided to research and come up with 5 principles of discipline. Now, of course, I could just talk about these principles, but instead I'm gonna run a marathon at the same time. So with that, I welcome you to the Friday 2 a.m. marathon here in beautiful Amsterdam. Let's get running. So the idea of this video came to me when I started waking up at 4 a.m. and running, and there were still drunk people outside. So I thought, hey, this is a cool contrast. Let me make a video out of it. With that, the first 2 kilometers have been done. The warm-up. Now, the first principle is all about aiming high. I'm not sure whether I'm gonna reach these 42 kilometers within 4 hours, but what I do know is that I'm gonna come out a stronger man nonetheless. Principle 1, aim high. So the principle of aiming high comes from Viktor Frankl, the author of A Man's Search for Meaning. And he said, even when not fully attained, we become better by striving for a better goal. Essentially what he means by that is that if you aim to perform the same, you will probably end up lower than you were, because there's always kind of a natural force pulling us down. However, when we aim high, even when we not get to that goal, we'll end up in a place better than we were before. And so this marathon, of course, was quite a high goal for me. I'd only been running for about 4 weeks again, and I gave myself a training period for 4 weeks. So I set the bar quite high for myself. But what is good about that is that when there is a high goal, there is more pressure to perform. And if there's more pressure, well, that's always a good thing if you want to perform better, do more, work harder, etc. So yeah, aim high. So let's say the essence of discipline is the ability to do more harder things. In that case, there's one hormone in particular that helps us achieve that, and that is testosterone. Now, testosterone is influenced by one interesting mechanic specifically, and that is that testosterone goes up when we have the feeling that we're winning, and testosterone goes down when we have the feeling that we're losing. So, although I aim high, I make sure that I celebrate every single step that goes up. With that, 12 kilometers done, I'm gonna take a quick piss and get back to running. So principle 2 is to celebrate micro wins. Testosterone gives us the ability to enjoy doing hard things and is therefore detrimental to our discipline. There's many things we can do to increase our testosterone. Of course, diet is an important place to look. Exercise, sleep, sunlight, they're all of the utmost importance. And then there's a whole wash list of tips, tricks, supplements that especially YouTube personalities like to bombard us with to boost our testosterone. But one I find often overlooked and to me very important is that of my mental situation, how we perceive ourselves moving through life. So I try to look at myself as the hero of my story. We're now halfway the 2 a.m. marathon. On to principle number 3. And now we're going to talk a little bit about physics. In specific, Newton's first law of motion, inertia. Essentially what inertia is that for an object to go from standing still into movement requires more energy than keeping the object in movement. Essentially there's a startup cost, and that is greater than the energy required once we have momentum. So just like with objects and physics, new habits, new behaviors also have a startup cost. But once we have some momentum, it costs us a lot less energy until we have a hard day. And that is where we kick in the second engine of discipline. With that, principle number 3, consistency is key. So it is so important for me to stay consistent. And the only way I can really do that is through making staying consistent as easy as possible. With exercise, for example. Going to the gym is great, but there are simply going to be days that I don't have the time. In that case, I will make sure that I have a mini version of my workout ready that I can do at home, which is kind of like a mini version of that entire habit. With that, I make sure that I keep my momentum going and I don't have to deal with that startup cost all over again, because that's how I drop out. If I have to do all the initial effort again, it's just so much harder to keep that up versus, enjoying it, having the momentum, and keeping it going. 10K further, we're now at 31 kilometers. Now, for me, finding that momentum is key. Once I have momentum, I do so much more. But there will be a day that I fall off. And that's totally okay. When it happens, I make sure that I enjoy my day off, that I don't feel guilty for taking time off. And as long as it stays with one day. Because once one day turns into 2 days and 2 days turns into 3 days, we're pretty much back at start. So principle number 4 is one day off is necessary, 2 days off is not okay. Yeah, so I struggle a lot with taking days off and actually enjoying it, without being riddled by the feeling that I need to work, I have to work, I have to do all of these things. It's really something that I struggle with a lot. But I've gotten a lot better at it, and one key thing is to just plan in those days off, and with that, I automatically take the conscious decision of, okay, I'm gonna take this day off. Anyway, as you can see by the video, this is the last stretch, and this was really, really hard. Here I went into a mental space that I haven't been before, so that was a very good feeling looking back on it. On the other hand, a learning is also that I definitely should have taken in more salt. The cramps in my leg here were abysmal. So I was just drinking coconut water while I was running, which is high in potassium, but doesn't really have any sodium in it, which is very important for hydration. So that was a big learning from this experience. Anyways, I enjoyed it a lot. Here's the last principle. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it. Well, actually, we haven't made it. I only ran 35 kilometers. But let me tell you, I feel like a winner. I've never ran this far in my life. I've pushed through boundaries I've never pushed through before. And maybe most important, I felt pain that I've never felt before in my life. Anyhow, let's get on to the final principle. And so, if I have to come up with one person that is the epitome of discipline, it would be an online persona like David Goggins. Now, it is very important to realize that I am not David Goggins. I don't have unlimited discipline and unlimited willpower. And so, to keep my momentum going as best as possible, it is super important that I make winning as easy and as fun as possible for myself. Making things easy means practicing habits and creating routines, and making things fun is mostly about the people around you. Now, one way you can instantly make everything more fun is by joining our group chat, The Grind, where we keep each other accountable towards our daily goals. Press the link in the description to sign up. With that, I want to thank you very much. I'm gonna go home, eat, and sleep, and I'll see you in the next one.